And it's time for a little more fun with members of the Florida Powerboat Club, heading off to the beautiful islands of the Bahamas here for the Bahamas Poker Run 2019. This is Stu Jones, and this is part 2 of our feature coverage of this really exciting event that we do every summer, and it is truly powerboating in paradise. The Florida Powerboat Club's Poker Run event series and these YouTube episodes are presented by Mercury Racing Wide Open and by offleaseonly.com, the nation's used car destination, along with these leading marine industry sponsors. And no, we did not play with the colors of this water as we exit Bimini Harbor, heading south down towards Honeymoon Harbor so we can go out and play. No, the watercolor here and the clarity of the water in the Bahamas is absolutely incredible, and that's why we love coming here. Of course, our friends, the Stingrays here at Honeymoon Harbor, were waiting for us to arrive because we had a whole bunch of stingray snacks with us. It really doesn't take much. You just get yourself about 10 pounds of frozen squid. You buy it at the bait shop at the big game club. Bring a sharp knife and start chopping it up. I just have to say, how much fun is this? Because you can sit in the water. Yes, I'm having fun. And you can sit in the water and let them come to you. I don't recommend standing, and you don't need to be in deep water. There's a real art to doing this. About 6 inches to 12 inches of water is all you need. You can sit in it or you can kneel in it, but that's all you really need to do. The stingrays will come up and they'll rush up alongside you. Just put your hand down with the bait and they'll take it right out of your hand, and they don't bite you. They don't have really any teeth. They just have really strong suction with their jaws, and sometimes they'll catch you off guard and maybe surprise you. But overall, it's a fun thing to do. But everybody else is just sitting back here by the cigarettes, having their beer, keeping their beer cold by keeping it above the water. These are trained professionals. There's Jeff and his team came from Alabama, and the rest of the group from Illinois. But look at this mix of boats: a cigarette, a fountain, another cigarette, and of course a bunch of center consoles. But as I said in our last episode, I was really impressed to see the number of performance V-bottoms that came on the run. I think it's time to celebrate with a little shot of Jaeger. I think next time we're going to have to bring the underwater cameras, a few more GoPros, so we can really capture the experience. But let me just leave it at, this was, for many people, the very first time they had done anything like this. And I was really happy to share that experience with them, because that's really what we're here to do, and give people an experience that they'll always remember. And just a little later, we were back at Resorts World Bimini, getting docked up for the night and ready to check into the hotel. Let's just make sure that they know we're here.
Camera, I'd be upset, but it's my iPhone, so.
Day 2 in Bimini, and beautiful weather again for this Saturday morning as we take a look at Mark and Eileen Fisher's Ocean Alexander yacht with that Blackwater tender tied up alongside. But today is going to be another outing. We're going to go south again, this time not to Honeymoon Harbor, but instead we're going to go to the landmark Sapona shipwreck. And the reason that we're going there is because it's a great place to go snorkeling, and it's got a very colorful past, this ship. It's a concrete ship, that sunk just south of Bimini in a big storm close to 100 years ago. But it has turned out to be a very popular local attraction for snorkelers and scuba divers, and you're about to find out why. And once again, we're riding on board Team Flakbait. That's at 42 Freeman, owned by Ryan Charnosky, who's right there on the right side of the screen. And at the helm is Captain Mike, who's going to do all the driving for this weekend and doing a great job at it. Really enjoyed riding on this 42 Freeman. It gave me an opportunity to see what it's like on a big fishing cat. It seems to be the ideal Bahamas ride. Look how beautiful the weather is as we make our slow idle speed exit here. John Chrysler in his big 47-foot fountain, triple Mercury Racing 525s. Looks like he's hanging in there and running good. And there's a nice shot of the Bimini Big Game Club. That is where we cleared customs when we arrived a day earlier. They have plenty of dockage here. It's very popular with fishermen, and they do have cabins and little cottages on property that you can stay in. But we're not going to stay there this weekend. We really like staying at Resorts World Bimini. But there is a lot to be said about the charm and the atmosphere of the Bimini Big Game Club, which has been there for so many years. We always enjoy stopping at the Big Game Club to clear customs and then have a beer and maybe breakfast before heading out on the waters. And it's just a few miles to the Sapona, just south of Bimini. Here we are settling in, most of us on anchors right now. You swim right up to the ship, climb right in, go into the belly of the ship, and there's a lot to see and a lot of fish. Don't have a lot of footage of this stopover right now, but you can see all of the boats. We had a lot of fun with this visit, but next time we promise a lot more video coverage. And back in the Resorts World Hilton lobby, we stopped in for a drink before dinner, and wouldn't you know it, the Junkanoo Band came through, a very popular Bimini tradition. And we awoke to yet another beautiful day, day 3 now of our Bahamas adventure as we depart Bimini. And there's that Tropic Airways seaplane. You're going to see a lot of that aircraft here in Bimini because they have regular service between Fort Lauderdale and Miami that flies daily. And on today's mission, we are going to head further east as we continue the adventure to Nassau. We're going to go via Chub Cay as we cross the Bahama Bank. This is a big part of the trip. It's one of the longest trips you'll do because when you leave Bimini, you've got to cross the Bahama Bank, which is about 85 miles total to reach Chub Cay. And that, of course, is a stopover. We're not going to stay there overnight, although we could if we wish to. But it's really a fuel stop and a place to have lunch and just settle in for an hour or two before we finish the trip to Nassau. You can see that the weather kind of turned on us a little. We had these rain showers and clouds off in the distance, and we made our crossing over the Bahama Bank without incident and into Chub Cay right on schedule. Chub Cay is a natural stopover location for a lot of reasons. The first, of course, because they have fuel, and it's the only fuel around the area for miles. So that worked out well, especially for those boats with the high-performance engines that burn a lot of fuel. You know, for most of the center console boats, they can pretty much go all the way from the mainland in Florida right to Nassau without stopping for fuel. But I do believe that a few of us did squirt a few gallons here before we docked. Now, floating dock marina, that's a key, and there's no charge for docking for lunch. It worked out well. The dockmaster was very cordial and welcomed us to dock, to tie up there. So we all got settled in, and then it's just a short walk up to the main lodge, which is a new building. It took them years to build this, and what an amazing job. Look at the grounds and the landscaping walking up to this main lodge. They have hotel rooms in there, but on the first floor is a big restaurant with a wonderful menu and great service. So while we got situated for lunch, Jackie took some time to pull out the poker cards and walk around and greet all of our teams and give them, I think this is poker card number 3, if I'm not mistaken. But just a chance to get a few snapshots here as we can enjoy and see how much fun everybody's having. And it kind of made me think about making Chub Cay an overnight stopover. So I recently had a conversation with the management here, and they are willing to give the Florida Powerboat Club some discounts on their lodging, which I believe is very nice. They have villas that they built as part of this big resort makeover that took many years to complete. But they have these really nice, luxurious villas on the water that are right near the restaurant here. We're going to check into the pricing and see if it's going to work for us. And, you know, maybe not everybody will stay here, but some of these teams I know were asking me, Stu, you know, this is really a nice place. I'd love to kick back here a little longer. So we're going to look into that for our 2020 event. And keeping things going, as soon as lunch was over, we headed straight over to Nassau. It's about a 30-mile ride from Chub Cay, a nice easy ride across the Northwest Passage and right into Nassau Harbor, where we can see the cruise ships straight ahead as we come into the harbor. Nassau, or New Providence, off to the right, and off to the left will be the island of Paradise Island as we know it, of course home to that landmark Atlantis resort. A handful of our teams stayed at another resort called Palm Cay Marina, but the rest of us settled in here at Atlantis, and we really loved it. Now it's day 4 of our Bahamas adventure, and it started off with a rendezvous with Captain Jordan Lampkin, a Bahamian local who has a great job taking care of some of these incredible performance boats like this MTI SV42. Now Jordan knows everybody in town, and everybody knows Jordan, so he's a good guy to have on your team. And his offer today was to be our local guide and just run us around the local waters and give us an idea of what it's like to go boating in and around Nassau and Paradise Island. So we started out by heading out of the main Nassau harbor, and he wanted to show us Bahamas from the water. That, of course, is that new resort that was recently completed. So we're going to see that in a minute. And not all of the boats came because some of the teams were quite content to stay back at the hotel. Some of them at Palm Cay Marina and some of them at Atlantis. You know, they had a late night the night before, so I don't think they got up too early. But at least 5 or 6 boats decided to join us, and Jackie and I jumped on the 42 MTI with Captain Jordan to check out the local scenery. And after a nice cruise visiting Bahamas and then cruising by Paradise Island, seeing Atlantis from the coastal waters, we're now at this cozy little place called Footprints Beach. It's on Rose Island. Some of us wandered into Footprints for a drink, while the rest of us just anchored the boats for boat drinks. And day 5, yet another beautiful day with great weather, and this time a very big trip on the adventure checklist, going all the way to the Exumas, which will include Staniel Cay and Big Major Cay, also known as Pig Beach. We started the day with a quick rendezvous here at Palm Cay Marina, where we picked up the rest of the boats and quickly headed out on our trek, which is going to be about 85 miles again. It seems to be the common number here, but that was the same amount of mileage we did from Bimini across to Chub Cay. But now we're going from Nassau on a southeast heading down along the chain of the Exumas as we know it. Now there's going to be a lot of visuals here that I took with my iPhone from Flak Bait on the 42 Freeman. And I can assure you that we would never be driving this close to these rocky islands, but we did have Captain Jordan and one of his team members with us on the boat, and that gave us the ability to have some local knowledge on board as we passed a lot of shallow waterways and rocky at that too. So I got a little anxious after doing this for about 15 or 20 minutes, and it wasn't so much that I was worried about our boat, because I know that Captain Jordan and his guys know exactly where we're going. I was concerned about the boats that were following us and the fact that they could get off course by just a little bit, by 10 or 15 feet, and perhaps, hit a rock and tear off a propeller or a lower unit. And that concerned me a lot, and therefore we aborted this scenic ride and went back out into the deeper waters to continue the trip down to Staniel Cay. And after about a 90-minute ride, here we are at Staniel Cay Yacht Club, a beautiful destination, a very popular destination year-round. Whether it's the summer or the winter months, there's a lot of boats here all the time, and people come here year after year. It's not hard to fall in love with this place, I can assure you. And the owners we met a couple of years ago when we were here, they were very friendly to us, but we were not able to secure any docking at the Staniel Cay Yacht Club, on the main docks. But, once again, having local knowledge and the support of a couple of guys who really know their way around, we found out that there was a nice secluded beach just on the back side of the yacht club, and here we are, all settled in about 4 or 5 feet of water, through the anchors and trimmed up the motors, and it was just a short, maybe 5-minute walk over to the yacht club from here. Now take a close look in this shot. You see all of our member boats, all the people who made it on the trip, but for a second here you're going to see a center console with a ladder coming out of the bow. It's a boat that we were able to charter from Nassau, again through our friends Captain Jordan and a few other people, Sean Evans from South Florida, and there it is. It's a center console with a ladder that drops down, triple outboard boat, and for about $200 a head he was able to bring at least 15 or 16 people along for the ride. Beach Invaders Part 1. Weekend Warriors. So this was the extent of the apparel needed. So you don't have to worry about a dress code going to Staniel Cay Yacht Club. No shirts, no shoes, no problem. That's what we love about this place. It's so relaxed and so casual, but it was really a great experience. Of course, the shark feeding here is a big attraction. These nurse sharks come up, dozens at a time, and you can, throw little bits of food to them. And notice some of our team members are in the water, actually petting those sharks. You couldn't get me in there. But they're very docile, and I don't think I haven't heard of any incidents with these nurse sharks as far as attacking people. They're very friendly, and all they want to have is some snacks. And speaking of snacks, well, powerboaters need love too. So getting into Staniel Cay Yacht Club, you could hang around the bar for that casual ambiance, or you could go sit in the dining room. Either way, the food and the service was spectacular. I understand why people fall in love with this place. You walk in here and you don't want to leave. And there was so much good Bahamian food on the counter in a matter of moments. We had the fried fish fingers and the conch fritters and the cracked conch, and oh my God, it was just plate after plate after plate. We kept passing it around and washing it down with Kalik beers and rum runners and Planter's Punch and all that good Bahamian food that we've fallen in love with, and it's just terrible for you. But hey, we're on vacation, so we can do what we want, right? Right, Max? Right, Jackie?
What's up, Ray? What's up, Chris?
Hey, buddy. Right.
I didn't know you had an It's okay. All right, I got it. Here we are. Okay. Problem child. Problem child in the house here. All right. Beautiful view. Look at that. Love this.
Well, watching this video now, I just can't tell you how memorable this is. It was, 6 months ago now that we did it. And, what a great visit, and everyone had a wonderful lunch. And these are the kind of cool places that you visit that the memories just stay with you for a lifetime. And it was a wonderful visit to the Staniel Cay Yacht Club. Next up, well, anybody who cruises these waters knows exactly where we're going now. It's only about 2 or 3 miles away at Big Major Key, and that is the world-famous Pig Beach. And it is world-famous because I've seen pictures and heard about this for years before I ever visited. And I think many people have seen so many pictures because there's really nothing like it. There is one other place in the Bahamas over in the Abacos that's very similar, but I think that Pig Beach at Big Major Key is the one that gets all of the recognition because so many people visit here. And during season, in the winter season, you could have 50 or 60 yachts anchored within a mile or two of this beach, and there's something about the ambiance and just like the calm water and the color of the water and the fact that you can come in here to this beach in your dinghy, or in this case in your powerboat, and visit with these friendly pigs. It's quite an experience, and you really can't describe it until you actually get here and see what it's all about. But don't come empty-handed, because you're not going to make any friends with these pigs if you don't have submarine sandwiches. So for those of us who didn't finish the subs, save a little bit for the piggies, because they love subs. They don't really like the bread, but they love the meat, as we're about to find out.
I don't like it when it's soggy.
Now you got him, Kyle. Take this home.
That's it. We got him in a corral now. He can't get out. That's it, our little cage. Right here, Tyler. Tyler, look up. They would like it if you got it in their mouth so it's not all soggy. Big time, big time. This guy's got teeth.
Come up to my damn sea boy and look the beach and whining, look St. Lucian whining, Dominican whining, West Indian, look the beach and whining, look St. Lucian whining, Dominican whining, West Indian. I want you to grind me, grind me, grind me. I want you to grind me, grind me, grind me. I want you to grind me. I want you to grind me, grind me, grind me. Sing! Oh, gosh!
Between you and her, that was she didn't have enough.
Make the girl them bend right over. Make the girl them bend right over. Make the girl them bend right over. them bend right over. Make the girl now bend right over. Make the girl them sing again.
I'm sure you didn't know. Crazy's a mechanic. Any kind of motor. I could fix it. Salami drink, she can't buy me. I don't know what wrong, she say it ain't working properly. But take a drive and see. Take a drive and see. A friend of mine recommend you as a good mechanic. Drive it. I'm crazy, drive it. Some days I shake it. I bolt to a screw must be missing. Drive it.
Practice 1, 2.
Well, I would have to say that was one of the highlights of my trip. 6 days in the Bahamas. I don't know. I don't think that ever gets old. I could probably go there every other day or every weekend and have a blast. Something about, hanging out with the pigs and feeding them and watching them chase everybody around. I do feel sorry for one girl, though. Lovely Ray, who was on low maintenance, the 38 Donzi. She actually got her butt bit by one of the pigs, so shame on you, pig. After a great day on the water, we all congregated at Palm Key Marina, where we played out the poker cards, and I'd like to congratulate the team that came all the way from France, Laurent and Nadia Besnier from France, who ran that 32-foot Doug Wright cat along with their friends, all four of them cooped up in that little cockpit, no air conditioning, all the way to the Bahamas and back. Got to commend them for their dedication and spirited enthusiasm to join us for this amazing adventure. We wrapped up the party, and the 6 or 7 boats that were staying back at Atlantis made the trek back only about 7 or 8 miles in the dark, but we had our navigation assistance to make it back safely to Atlantis Marina and conclude an incredible day on the water. Day 6, and sadly it's going to be the day that we have to return. One last glimpse of that beautiful Atlantis resort as this Midnight Express pulls into Atlantis Harbor, probably a tender on a big yacht, I'm guessing. But we wish we were going that direction into Atlantis for a couple of more days. But sadly, we've got to turn around and go in the opposite direction, and that is out into Nassau Harbor and start heading westbound back to the mainland. It's going to be a long trip today, altogether about 230 miles. We're going to avoid going through to Chub Cay. It's not necessary to go there because it's only 30 miles. What we do need to plan, though, is a stopover in Bimini. And it appears so far that the weather is going to be great for this trip back. But remember, you never can be sure when you're in the Bahamas. You can be in Nassau where it's just a little cloudy and no sign of rain. And then 50 miles west of there, you get into some serious rain showers. So we're prepared for whatever we encounter along the way. But we're just happy that everybody got together on time for the departure. We statistically have lost one boat in this trip. For those of you who have not noticed, that 46-foot cigarette has no longer been with us for the last 2 days or 3 days of the trip. And we were able to get that boat home safely with a little help from our friends at Towboat US. But nice shots here as we depart Nassau Harbor. A lot going on here today, some kind of a military operation there, the big naval ship. Taking a look now at John Chrysler and his 47-foot fountain. We're going to be having a very long trip today. This will be the longest leg that we encounter on the entire trip as we sit back here and enjoy the ride on Team Flackbait. All of the crew members laying out on those big beanbag chairs. Oh, they were the bomb. Everybody loved the beanbag chairs. You got to get those when you've got a big platform like this. Nothing better than having 3 or 4 of those on the boat for everybody to just sprawl out and enjoy the ride. Captain Mike at the helm. But let's talk about the geography of today's run. Now that we are in Nassau Harbor and departing on a westbound heading, we're going to avoid Chub Cay. And what that's going to do is going to add extra mileage to the straight run, which is going to be going straight to Bimini. We're going to cut across the top of Andros. If we actually took a line straight out of Nassau Harbor to Bimini, we would clip the top end of Andros and probably run over some shoals. So you actually have to run a little bit north of Andros or set a heading just maybe 5 or 6 miles off the north side of Andros, or even 10 for that matter, and then use that waypoint to then reset for Bimini. And we're going to come in just in behind the concrete ship. And if my memory is correct, I do believe it's probably 140 or 150 miles for that trip. So it's important that when you leave Nassau Harbor, you're full of fuel, and it's nice to just take it easy and have a nice, comfortable cruise across the Bahama Bank, which is exactly what we're doing right about now. And one thing that can be said about these waters in the Bahama Bank, remember it's very shallow, only maybe 10, 12 feet for the most part for 85 to 90 miles as we cross the Bahama Bank. And with these clear waters, you're going to get these beautiful colors. And it's just an amazing thing to see for miles and miles and miles, and not something that many of us are used to driving around, in coastal waters in the United States and certainly along inland waters. We just don't get these kind of colors. But you can see how calm it is. As long as the winds are light, you're going to get very calm conditions. And this is why a lot of people choose this trip across the Bahama Bank to Nassau. This is the preferred course for most shallow draft boats. If you get into big yachts and big deep draft boats, they've got to go an alternative way, and that is around the north side of Bimini and across to the top of the Berry Islands before they turn south and head into Nassau. And this quick stopover illustrates why it's nice to boat with a club. We had a small engine problem. Everybody stopped to help out Jason Tolliver as he took a closer look at the problem. And here's exactly what I mentioned earlier in the show. These storms that pop up, you can see them off in the distance. Sometimes they're off to port or off to starboard, and sometimes they're straight ahead. But the beauty of navigating out here on the Bahamas Bank is you can just kind of find the hole often and literally thread the boat between the clouds, and sometimes you can stay dry completely. Not all the time, but we were able to do that, and we fended off a couple of storms through the afternoon, and we somehow managed to just have a light spray, and we got into Bimini without encountering any big storms or any mishaps. By the time we reached Bimini, the waterways were perfect again. We got into Bimini Big Game Club. It wasn't very busy at all. Remember, we're now midweek. It's a Wednesday in the middle of the week, and there were very few boats here. Our only goal here was to stop off and have some lunch and walk around the docks a little. We made it about a 90-minute stopover, and there's fuel nearby, not at the Big Game Club, but at the Bimini Blue Water Resort. They have fuel. There wasn't very many of us, at least the outboard boats with the bigger tanks and the longer range cruising capabilities did not need to get any fuel. But of course, those performance boats, oh, you bet they're at the fuel dock getting topped up for that last leg across from Bimini to Miami. It was very difficult to say farewell to the Bahamas. We love visiting there, and we'd love to go there more often. But it certainly was a beautiful way to get home because the Gulf Stream was so calm on this Wednesday afternoon with these summer conditions and light winds. We crossed the shipping channels and encountered a few big ships along the way, but I would have to say we had a very uneventful trip back across the Gulf Stream, and uneventful is a good thing to say in the world of high-performance powerboating. And here we are on the home stretch as we have Hullover Inlet in our sights, making our way back into North Miami so we can put the boat away at Hullover Marine Center and call it a day. And that means it's time to wrap up now for our episode number 2 with feature coverage of the Bahamas Poker Run 2019 with members of the Florida Powerboat Club. It's been an excellent
Special
trip,
thanks
quite an
to
adventure.
Ryan
Sharnowski
6 days on
for
the water
hosting
with
the
all of
Jones
our best
family
boating friends
on his 42-foot Freeman Team Flackbait. And thanks to all of our club members for taking a leap of faith with us to join us for this 6-day, several hundred-mile adventure to the Bahamas. And for those of you who would like to join us for our 2020 Bahamas adventure, we already have our date set at June the 19th to the 24th, 2020, with a very similar boating agenda starting in Miami, going to Bimini, Chub Cay, and on to Nassau and Paradise Island. And for future episodes coming right here on YouTube, Florida Powerboat Club will visit Alabama for the Orange Beach Powerboat Week, where we'll have 4 episodes of feature coverage of this fabulous event, which was hosted at the Wharf in Orange Beach. And please join us by subscribing on this YouTube channel as we build our viewing audience to 25,000 viewers. All you've got to do is subscribe and click the notification bell so you get all of the updates when new episodes come out. You can follow us on social media, on Facebook at Florida Powerboat Club, and on these Instagram accounts. And of course, all of the information about the club, including membership and upcoming events, can be found on the club website at flpowerboat.com. This is Stu Jones. Thanks for watching. Be safe out there. Always wear your life jackets and be respectful of your fellow boater. See you next time. The Florida Powerboat Club's Poker Run event series and these YouTube episodes are presented by Mercury Racing Wide Open and by offleaseonly.com, the nation's used car destination, along with these leading marine industry sponsors.